So, Jonathan, what are some of the cold, hard truths about dating after 50 that anybody out there in that situation needs to know? Thank you so much for tuning in to Second Act TV. Today I am so happy to welcome back one of my favorite guests, Jonathan Noble. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here again.
Silka, I give and give and give to you. You know, I'm happy to be here, Silka. We're gonna deliver some truth bombs today. So
Absolutely.
if you're a snowflake and you're watching this, maybe you should think about it. And before we get into this, like, comment for the algorithm, subscribe. Stop snoring all this great content from Second Act TV. Subscribe already. All right? Okay.
Jonathan, you are so much better at this than I am. If you haven't seen Jonathan, he also has his own YouTube channel, which we'll link to. Jonathan is a divorce and family law attorney. You speak through that lens. You have great advice, no holds barred advice, and that's what we want to do today about dating over 50, something you're very familiar with because you yourself, up to 2019, you were out on the dating scene, you online dated, you developed some very specific opinions, you have observations, and that's what we want to touch on today. So, Jonathan, what are some of the cold, hard truths about dating after 50 that anybody out there in that situation needs to know?
Yeah, well, thank you for that great introduction, Silka. Number one, as a preface to this subject matter, before you even put yourself out there, you have to have healed from prior relationships, traumas, disappointments, or else you're going to continue to get the same results and you're going to continue to turn the same people off and you're going to continue to not be the best version of yourself. So if you want to significantly increase the odds of finding success, however you define that, if you're not finding success now, you need to do the work. Okay? There's just no way around it. One of your other guests has a podcast that's terrific, and I don't know them. I'm not a paid endorsement or anything, but it's called Done Being Single, and it's with Robbie and Trevor. And they had posted a episode on their Done Being Single podcast. What does doing the work really mean? It was posted on October 17th of 2019. So, and it's free, okay? So rather than regurgitate a lot of what's in that podcast, they do a marvelous job of explaining. And I think they had a really good guest on too. You got to just be ready, because if you just keep going from relationship to relationship, you got to do the work and be the best version of yourself. So that's like the preface before even step one, or else you're just going to continue to not get anywhere. So
good point. I'll link to that podcast. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. And they have a lot of other good things to say in other episodes, but that one is about doing the work. Let's get with our cold, hard truth number one. Like it or not, in our demographic, optics of a potential love interest really matter to men. Now, I can't speak for women, but if you're a man and you are not in the best shape, or your body mass index isn't what it could be, or a woman and you're not getting the results that you want, or you're only attracting people that you're not attracted to, you've got to do the work. There's just no way around it. I can tell you from my own personal experience, I wanted to attract athletic women and I wasn't in the best shape of my life back in 2019. So you do the work, and then you can be the person that you want to attract. It makes things a lot easier.
You brought up, I want to mention or comment on one point you made, which is if in order to attract who you want, you need to be that person. I think that's one of the key things you said. Because some people are going to go, you know what, I'm just good with a few extra pounds. I feel I'm fine. And I don't mind somebody else with a few extra pounds. But if and that's great. And there's lots of people that attract each other that way. But as you referenced, a lot of our comments is like, oh, all women over 50 are overweight, blah blah blah. And I'd love to see some of the men that make those comments.
All women over 50 are not overweight. Okay.
There's
There is
Jennifer, yay.
yeah. I think that optics are really important to just get your ticket punched to get into the dance.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just at this point in our lives. Yes, obviously, there are, men are very, very visual. So are women. Not as much perhaps as men. But really, it's just the health issues surrounding, that. You want to be able to walk or to run or to participate, to have energy, the energy to build a new relationship. So yeah, it's a cold hard fact, a cold hard truth, but it's something to think about.
Ready for the next cold hard truth?
Absolutely.
All right. This is back from memory. So if you have any questions, let me know. But when meeting up, most successful men over 50 could not care less about your specific political affiliation or who you voted for. And I remember women who were very interested in my political affiliation and who I voted for. I could care less. And we're very divided in this country right now. I wish it wasn't the case, but I would never ever rule out a potential love interest because she voted or wanted to vote for someone or had a different political view than I did. I looked at that as an opportunity to learn about why somebody likes a candidate and why they back certain issues. I would never want to be the person who says, well, if you don't agree with me, then you're not for me. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's unfortunate that it's come to this point. I agree with you mostly. Let's say, I'm going to say 80%. I would have agreed 100% a few years back. Today, I would think twice. Because I don't want to get into a relationship that I know is going to be nothing but conflict. And that's what it's turned into. I mean, I've had conflict with people who I love that I go way back with. And it's like, I can't believe this. And I'm not the one that starts it.
Right.
Sometimes it's just difficult. I think it's a slight consideration. If you know that there's just, either you agree you can never talk about it, or you just save yourself that problem. I mean, do you see that at all?
I'm not the kind of guy that would ever agree to not talk about something, like especially if it's in the news. And that's a great segue into the next thing that most guys, and I would include myself in this, really could care less about. And this is not a universal truth. Now, I didn't have to deal with what I'm about to say in 2019. I could care less what your vaccine status is.
Okay.
It doesn't matter at all. I believe your metabolic health is way more important than how many times you've been vaccinated or boosted. So now I know that this is a real slippery slope. And leave a comment. You could leave a comment if it matters to you. It's another way to divide us. And my goal is to get people together, not necessarily to get married so they could come and see me eventually, but because life could be better shared, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, you're right, a very, very contentious topic. And hopefully we'll get past that and not let that be a continuing source of conflict between people, period.
you ready for the next cold hard truth that guys don't care about?
Yeah, please.
All right. I remember a lot of women were like very interested in finding a travel buddy. And they would like travel brag on a first meetup or something. That's really not what most guys want to hear. When the time is right, and if you do form a relationship or a friendship or connection, and you want to talk about where you might like to go, but that was usually a lead topic for a lot of women for some reason. And we'll talk about some of the other things in the profiles that I saw that were a real turnoff. And I would ask people not to write those things if they're serious
Mm-hmm.
about trying to at least get a meetup. Women would
Mm-hmm.
write in their profile, I love travel, I love fine dining, I love my Yorkie, I love my grandchildren. And I was like, swipe
Yeah.
away. It was like, okay, who doesn't like that stuff?
Yeah.
So, do you want me to go over things that guys do care about?
Absolutely.
Are you able to think critically for yourself and not be overly influenced by mainstream media and the opinions of others? I mean, that's really a turn on. You get a woman who doesn't necessarily agree with what's being spit out of mainstream media and has ability to think critically. Are you kind? You know, that takes time to find out. You want to see people in all different situations. How about this? Are you sleep compatible? At what point, Silka, uh, is it proper to ask somebody's sleeping habits? That's an important part of overall health. I know for me it is. Um,
Never thought about that. Never thought to ask. That's interesting. That's a really interesting point.
I would want to know that somewhere along the way. Do you complement each other's lives? You got to be a good complement. Usually, guys in my demographic are not looking for someone to complete them. They're already complete. They're just looking for a great compliment. And you're probably not going to be the focus of some guy's life. It might be some combination, but a great compliment is really what you want to aspire to be. And this is not universal. Some guys may need or really want somebody to mom them, and
Yeah.
that's fine for them. But most of the guys in my circle are not like that. So,
Interesting. Interesting. Let me
um,
ask you something about the critical thinking. Uh, when you say you don't want somebody that's easily influenced, does that also apply that you respect women who disagree with you, depending on how it's done?
absolutely, absolutely. I'm always in a learning mode. Always welcomed
Hmm.
to debate, a healthy, loving debate around any issue. Who
Yeah.
wouldn't be?
Yeah, I want to offer one other point to the I love my grandchildren and my Yorkie and my this. Not everybody, and I've said this before in other situations. Not everybody loves your kids, your grandkids, or your dog as much as you do. And it gets to be, where you love to show pictures or do this. Just think about when it's done to you. It's kind of a turn off. And then the equivalent that I saw with men, especially, is if they have like one daughter, and my daughter is my life. I'm so proud. It's like, uh-oh. I don't know if this is something, the road I want to go down.
Right, I agree with you.
Hmm.
Especially if you have a lot of options, you don't want to start down that road and find that you're always taking the back seat.
Hmm.
If you want a great relationship, uh, it's probably not a good recipe to have. I want to talk about a cold, hard truth that's a little difficult for some people, but
Okay.
they should consider. And that is meeting offline is really powerful. And I want to share with you a very short story. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. All right. This was in November of 2019, and I wanted to do something that I had never done before that made me a little bit nervous. Okay. So I signed up to audition for a part in a community theater group. All right. Never acted, nothing.
Hmm.
So I get there on the night of the audition, and I walk into this big auditorium, and there's 150 other people there. And all of them are really good looking, and all of them are really articulate. And I don't know anybody. So I walk in and I start to introduce myself around a little bit, and the warmth and the
Yeah.
inclusion and the way that I was treated was
Hmm.
phenomenal.
That's
I
great.
was like, where has this been my whole dating life? Now, I had already met Jennifer in the summer of 2019, but people they're saying, don't worry, relax. I was there for like 80 minutes, 90 minutes with people who were super social, So I would say try something out
Yeah.
of your comfort zone.
Yeah, here's something that just brand, well, it's not brand new, but it's like just growing like crazy, pickleball. I'm actually going to do a whole episode on that fastest growing sport in the United States. And it was one of the most socially active communities, people, just like you described those people. They're friendly, they're inclusive, they're fit, most, for the most part. And a great way to meet offline. We'll talk more about that. So, but I
Yeah.
digress. Go ahead.
Um, all right. Powerful dating tips for women who are online dating. And this could go for men too. Log on as a man if you're a
Uh,
woman and look at other women's profiles. How does your profile compare? Be honest with yourself. You may be shocked at how much better some women's profiles are than others. You know what?
great,
I'm not the
great
first
idea.
person to say this.
And you
For,
can do that for free, right? You can. You
yeah,
don't necessarily. You have to create, yeah, kind of an account. It's a little bit. That's where some of the fake accounts come in. But what a great tip. I actually did. I had a second account that I used to just, if I wanted to check people out and I didn't want them to know I was there, I had a second profile that, like, where I had no picture. It was just horribly written to where nobody would ever hit on me. Yeah, there's a way that you can sort of monitor in the background that might be very helpful for you to learn
right.
stuff.
You know what? Smart daters do that. So be a smart dater. Do a little reconnaissance
Yeah.
and then be critical about what you're posting. I know in an earlier video we did, I talked about going on Photo Feeler. A
Yes.
lot of the professional dating coaches might recommend that they have the last say about what you're posting. You are not in the best position to determine what's going to attract what you want in pictures. It's that
Yeah.
simple. You're just not. Profile tips if you want to drive men away, only headshots. All right. That sends a clear signal. Don't do that. All right. Only one photo. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
It's always pass that up. Yep.
Right. For posting old photos, group photos, unclear photos, filler photos. Don't post a picture of like the Eiffel Tower unless you're in front of it. And
Yeah.
even then, don't, you don't have to flex. Don't flex. Don't pose in front of your sports car or whatever. That's not cool.
No.
Man or woman. Poor grammar, spelling, or word choice. A lot of women wrote, if you don't know the difference between there, and there, then swipe this way. Sometimes when women write, my daughter, coworkers are making me do this. Well, honey, if someone makes you do this, you're probably doing this with a very lukewarm spirit.
Well, you're very insecure because you don't want them to think that you need stuff to find somebody. That just breeds insecurity all over that. I've seen that too. Yeah, my friend, they dared me. Okay, well, what does that say? It does. You see that a lot.
One woman wrote, just, I like what everyone else likes. What kind of effort is that?
Yeah. And how boring is that?
I just want to leave you with a couple last tips on this. Don't be outcome dependent. I'm not the first person to say that. This is not an original idea. I was never outcome dependent on any dates. You go out, you meet people, enjoy the process, leave your checklist at home. You might be pleasantly surprised. Don't play games. Actions speak much louder than words. Guys, 50, successful demographic, has a lot of options. The first whiff of game playing, you're done. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And again, one of your other guests, Trevor, says, and Robbie, dating against your type is a good strategy.
Right.
Yeah, if you're not getting good results, you could really hit the jackpot dating against your type.
Yeah.
But you have to be out there trying.
Well, as always, you have some great nuggets there. People will agree and disagree, and that's okay. Because sometimes you just have to throw out the cold, hard truth. Jonathan, it's always so fun to have you on. There's a couple more things I want to talk with you about. Anything else on this topic that you want to add before we close?
I think number one, you could watch all the YouTube videos in the world and listen to all the podcasts. I say this with 100% good intentions. Nothing works until you do.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I know it's a little bit difficult sometimes to do that much work, but if you just get started in the right direction and maybe tweak your mindset, if you need a coach or somebody, I'm not a coach, not selling anything, but sometimes that's just enough to help you open your eyes
Mm-hmm.
because people don't know what they don't know sometimes and they have
Right.
blind spots. So if we could just move somebody to action,
Mm-hmm.
fabulous. That's the goal.
Thank you, Jonathan. I will link to all of your information to your YouTube channel. Talk about great tips, and your videos are usually very well. They're much shorter. Great, hard-hitting tips. So
Thank you.
check out Jonathan's channel. And Jonathan, we'll see you on the next segment, Second Act TV.
Thank you, Suka. Thanks for having me.
Bye. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.